It's Romania Black. Oh, I'm not ready for this episode. I'll be honest with y'all. I'm recording a little bit ahead on Attack on Titan because in a couple of weeks we're gonna have this big Attack on Titan week planned. And what I have planned for it is that season 1 is gonna end on a Tuesday, and then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I'm gonna be watching all the OVAs, Ilse's Notebook, Distress, and Strangers, or there's Uninvited Stranger or something, and then No Regrets. And then on Saturday of that weekend, we're going to have a recap, review, and RIP for season 1, where I'm going to like review the season and do like an in memoriam and talk about theories and things. And then Sunday, it'll be a little bit different this one time. Sunday will be the premiere of season 2. So there's a lot of Attack on Titan reactions I need to do in the next couple of weeks. So I'm recording a little bit ahead to try to keep myself on pace because there's going to be a lot happening. But I had to take some days break between episode 17 and this one because episode 17 is probably the most visceral reaction I've had to this show so far. And I was like shook to my core, not only because of the possibility that Annie's a Titan. I'm like 85% sure it's her. But also that Reiner could be a Titan, that it's just a game of who is who here. And going back and rewatching episode 14 and 15 over the last weekend because I wanted to rewatch those episodes. Some of you have probably commented by now on YouTube and Patreon, but I don't think that Erwin and Levi were necessarily the ones that killed Sonny and Bean. It could have been Annie. Could have been Annie that killed him, or it could have been somebody else. But I think some of you commented like the point of the episode wasn't if Erwin and Levi, they would really have no reason to kill the Titans because they were experiments and they were trying to gather intel. But the point is that Erwin was trying to make to Levi, or to Aaron, was Erwin was trying to tell Aaron, Titans aren't the only enemy here. Humanity also has some people under the surface that are not good as well. And the idea now that some of these humans can become Titans, and that Armin's expressing that that's definitely happening, is going to open up this big can of worms. And I'm like, oh, I get when y'all say, oh, these were the simple times. I'm like, things are about to get more complicated, aren't they? Because we're just opening up all these gray areas and implications. We've set this whole season up until this point of it being us versus them, black versus white. And then Aaron being able to become a Titan kind of started to put some water in the ink to make it a little bit grayer and dissipated. And now it's just even more so. So I don't know. I was so terrified last episode that Reiner and Jean were going to die. We just had that whole funeral scene. We just had to deal with Marco being gone. And now I was like, now you're telling me that Jean and Reiner could die? I was like, no. So I wasn't ready. But we lost Keith, the horse guy, and Sis, and a lot of other members of the Survey Corps that were in that right wing. And now the female Titan is headed towards Aaron and where they think Aaron's group is. So I've dreaded this episode so much because I'm like, I'm gonna freak out. And I'm not prepared. So, but you know what? But I woke up this morning, I was like, it needs to happen. So here we are. Here we are, ready for episode 18. It's not, I gotta do it. I gotta rip the Band-Aid off. So, so thank you all so much for watching, and thank you for not spoiling me. I think watching a little bit ahead is helpful too, so that when I do get to the comments on YouTube and Patreon, if some of you can't resist saying something, then I'll have already watched this episode, and so it'll still be fresh, but I won't feel like I'm being spoiled. So that won't happen all the time, but I am recording ahead right now just because I have that big week of watching OVAs left to record. So I want to try to get that done soon. So that's why I'm recording ahead right now. But so anyway, I've spoken enough. Let's do this, shall we? This isn't going to be terrifying at all, I'm sure. Forest of the Giant Trees, huh? The 57th Exterior Scouting Mission Part 2. Forest of the Giant Trees. I'm like, are we literally talking about trees, or are we getting Titans in on this too? It's probably both, to be honest. But we're going to start that here in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. cliffhanger yet. The worst cliffhanger yet. The worst. Absolutely the worst. I'm like, Levi, what are you planning? What, at this point, I am 100% convinced that only Levi and Erwin really know what's the overall plan. I feel like Levi is the only one Erwin truly... I feel like Levi and Hanji are the only ones that Erwin truly trusts with what's going on. Because no one else, as Aaron discovers towards the end of this episode, no one else really seems to know what's happening. They're just following their orders from Erwin and Levi, and no one else seems to really get what's happening. So that's interesting to me, because I had assumed that most of Levi's survey group, most of the Levi squad knew what was going on. That doesn't seem to be the case. I'm pretty sure Hanji, because Hanji's with Erwin, I'm pretty sure Hanji, Erwin, and Levi are the only ones privy to the overall plan. And Hanji may not even be. It seems like it might just be Levi and Erwin. But I need to talk about this. Because there is some interesting setup in this episode. A lot of action. God, the animation with the female Titan and all the destruction she's doing is just insane. Just insane. It's like, I feel like the animators and the mangaka was like, okay, I have this giant meat mecha. What can I make them do? And here's the other thing. This Titan seems to be in control of what they are doing. Like, they've been in this body before. This ain't the first time they've transformed into this Titan form. They are in control of their movements and understand exactly what they're doing. Unlike Aaron, who Aaron has only transformed a few times and has relied solely on instinct and what to do and doesn't seem to be fully in control of their abilities, this Titan has become this form more than once, right? They're in control, or at least they're in control of their body's movements. Okay. So, I still am convinced, and some of you are probably like, Reiner's not a Titan. Or they're like, we can't tell you, Romania. I still feel like there's a possibility that Reiner can become one. I'm still not convinced that he can't. It just seems, I don't know. I'm still not convinced that he can't. So until I'm proven wrong, that's going to be in the back of my head. But none of the other characters are seeming to comment on it. So we'll just save that. But Annie can, so come on now. All right, so I'm going to skip over the OP and go back to this episode here, Forest of the Giant Trees. A very interesting strategy. So then I want to comment that Jean, again, being one of the most interesting characters in this series so far, the thought process that goes through Jean's head, that seems to go through his head before anybody else in this episode, is we have one horse. He's trying to call it, and I love the detail of the saliva, the spit coming off his fingers, like he's been trying to whistle for so long that like he's just got spit. He's been trying to whistle for so long that it's just not working. But yeah, Jean being so frustrated. He's like, because this is leaving us. He's frustrated on two accounts. One, because they only have one horse, which means somebody has to be left behind because they can only put two people at once on one horse. But the other aspect of it is because he knows that he's the one that needs to stay behind. Because Armin's injured. He can't survive on his own. Reiner is the strongest of the three, but he's also the heaviest. So would he have trouble riding with somebody else? It's this scenario. It's so fascinating because Jean realizes what the end game is. He's like, if Reiner rides on the horse, he's clearly the strongest, so it needs to be Reiner. But Reiner and Jean can't comfortably fit on a horse, but Reiner and Armin could. And Armin's injured, so he doesn't need to be left alone. And Armin knows something's going on. Like, Armin's trying to process right now everything with the female Titan. So in the back of his mind, Jean knows that he's the one that has to be left behind, but he doesn't want to admit it. And so he's trying to, in his brain, rationalize any other option, and it's not working. So he's getting frustrated because he knows that at the end of the day, he's the one that needs to stay behind and try to get his horse back. But that puts him in the most vulnerable spot. So I love Jean's character because he's rationalizing like any of us would this situation, and he's coming to the same conclusion that we all would come with, but it's the worst possible conclusion for his character. He's like, we all made it through that fight alive, which granted, Jean only survived because of Reiner and Armin. that's the only reason he's alive. So of course, that's probably going through the back of his mind. Him thinking, well, they're the reason I'm alive, so of course I need to let them go. But, and then we flash to Armin looking up at the female Titan. And I wonder if Armin is trying to put 2 and 2 together of who it is. I wondered if Armin was like, oh my God, that looked like Annie. I wonder if he's trying to piece it together. And he's like, no, I need to think more about it. I have a feeling that Armin knows and he needs to tell Commander Erwin, but he doesn't want to tell everybody else to get them like panicking. So, and then Armin volunteering to stay behind. Yeah. And here's the thing, the smoke signals, I commented a few episodes ago, I was like, I wonder if the smoke signals are going, if the female Titan can notice that and is following them and trying to get them off course. And that's absolutely what was happening because she's smart enough to know. But Christa coming in clutch. Man, a literal goddess to these 3 boys, to these 3 men, I guess. Coming in with finding Jean's horse and bringing the extra horse too. Oh my God. And Jean looking so relieved. I absolutely love it. And Christa just riding in like an actual angel, which that makes me wonder, she's always with the woman with freckles. So I wonder where the woman with freckles is. She's in a different group probably. But Christa, oh my gosh, like her and the sparkles around her where she's like, I just knew you guys needed trouble, so I just came. Like, that was really bold of her to be like, because, you know, in a panic situation like this, it'd be easy just to run away scared. But she was like, no, there was trouble, and so I came to help you all. And then she noticed that Armin's injured. And she's just so sweet. We haven't gotten a lot with Christa in this series. And I like that we are getting a little bit more into her character. And Reiner saying, oh, horses like you. You have a strange charisma. And you saved us. And I'm watching this version on the Crunchyroll because I wanted to see the subtitles for that, the middle cards. And so I'm wondering if it's translated differently. And of course the sunlight hitting her. And Reiner having the gleam in his eyes like, oh. And then being like, God, a goddess. I want to marry her. Reiner looking so fiercely like, I want to marry her. Like, Reiner, you got a thing for blondes? Which makes me think, like, is Reiner shipped with Christa? I don't know. I feel like a lot of people ship Christa with the girl with freckles because that's that whole scene with Sasha early on in episode 3. But, I don't know. So, yeah, the whole concept, the idea of the female Titan slowly working the group off course, right? Which lends to my theory that it's Annie because Annie would know the plan and she's smart. So the idea that these smoke signals are working to their detriment, like it's helping out the group, but at the same time it's bad because it's making their path known. So if a Titan was smart, they'd be able to read those smoke signals and be like, oh, well then I'll just make them go. I'll just go this way and we'll keep turning. I'll keep moving the formation around to wherever I want them to go, which is interesting. And, oh man. But at this point too, the other thing is that the female Titan's trying to get to Eren. So it's not necessarily that maybe she's trying to lure them into a corner, but she's really just following the smoke signals to try to pinpoint where Eren is and get to him first. So that might be it too. And so then Eren trying to figure things out, like, and then the reporter comes in and says the right wing's been knocked out. The right recon has been destroyed. And of course, Eren freaks out at first because he thinks Armin's in that wing. And then Eren tries to calm himself down. They're like, no, wait, Armin was closer to the center, so maybe they're okay. I love how calm and cool that Levi seems on the surface under pressure. Levi's like, nope, we just keep rolling with it. Doesn't matter. We're just going to keep going. Yeah. And Levi being disgusted, like they've infiltrated our ranks that easily. Like, you could just tell he's just really pissed off about it. And I'm like, oh, yeah. What a mess. I love this, like, Levi just getting just frustrated. Like, that's so good. I can't wait to see him. Levi versus the female Titan would be very interesting. But here's the thing. I don't want them to get hurt. And this female Titan is clearly a threat. But her going through that town, just hardcore jogging through and them trying to stop her. And here's the thing that's terrifying is she kills those two soldiers pretty easily. And then that one, she just flings it around. Like she's just playing at that point, like just toying with it. And then just punts the other guy out of the system. Like, I feel like a couple of them had names. So in the comments, if any of these soldiers that died facing the female Titan had names this episode, let me know for my in memoriam. So I can add them to the list. I feel like they had names. I feel like that some of them were named, but I could be wrong. Yeah. But, oh God. Especially, yeah, the one was that Mish? Was that Mish? I think that was Mish. No! God, if that was Mish. Damn it. I think it was that died. The one that could smell. Right? Or is he still with Levi's group? Is he still the one with Levi and Erwin? Damn. Ah, damn it. That sucks. And then, of course, it shows two guys that are like, oh, we'll just take her head on. And you're like, no, you guys are going to be dead. No, not going to work. So, the cargo, row 3-1, the cargo route, the commando's orders to relay the message to the left. And then, yeah, her looking up and seeing the smoke signals. And then there's just all the bodies around her and knowing who to keep following. Oh my God. And then I like that we're following the troop around and seeing group for group how they're all reacting it. Our goal is supposed to be to the south, to the old city. And right now the formation's on a collision course with the forest of the giant trees. And so at first, okay, we'll pause this. At first I thought the forest would be a problem area because you're in a condensed area of trees. So Titans would have a little bit of cover. When you're out in the open, you can see a Titan really easily. And so it's easier to you have more time to plan out your attack and be like, okay, cool. Well, here comes a Titan. What should we do? Should we do this, this, and this? The downside of being out in the open is that there's not a lot of trees to use your maneuver gear on. So you have to use the gear on the Titans themselves. And that leaves you open to like the female Titan just grabbing the line and slinging you away. Whereas if you have tree cover, you can maneuver through the trees and you've got more options. The downside is you can't see an attack coming if it just comes out of nowhere, if it hits a blind spot. So the title card says, Forest of the Giant Trees 1. Isolated forests of giant trees can be found within and beyond the walls. They occur naturally in certain areas and tree heights can exceed 80 meters. So, okay. Kind of reminds me of Yellowstone, right? Before Wall Maria's fall, this particular forest was a tourist area. Oh, now it is a strategically important location used by Survey Corps to protect themselves during Titan expositions. So that's the thing, too, that Levi established. I didn't get that because I couldn't read this title card. It explains, one, Jean making the joke that, oh, we're going to a tourist area. We're going to just hang out and sightsee. That was the joke number one. And then two, Levi explaining, look, this forest is actually to our benefit because we can use our maneuver gear really well here. And Erwin commenting, there's nothing growing on the road. That the Titans have made a path through here. So we can bring the carts through too. So he's like, we're going to take a detour. We're going to go through here. Only the central cart guard should enter the forest. And then everybody else is going to try to lure the Titans and keep them on the outside while the cart with all the supplies goes through. I mean, it's actually a really good strategy when you think about it. The only problem is the female Titan is our big X factor because she is clearly not like the other Titans and has a lot more intelligent capability and strategic capability than the regular Titans. But the others going around it. It's interesting. So Erwin is luring the female Titan there to try to get rid of her. So I am fully convinced now that Erwin knows what's going on. Erwin knows there's somebody knows that somebody's inside that is potentially a threat. And he's trying to lure, which would make sense if we go back and think about it. If we think about it, back in episode 16, back in episode 15, if we're backtracking and thinking of the timeline, in episode 15 we had Sonny and Bean, and we had Hanji and them getting killed. So if it wasn't Erwin and Levi that killed the Titans, and it was somebody else on the inside, one of the other human, one of the other members of either the Survey Corps or otherwise, not Survey Corps, but one of the members of the garrisons or military police or whoever, or one of the cadets that was just graduating, if Erwin and Levi thought that it was somebody on the inside, then that would explain why at the meeting that was held for all the cadets, Erwin explained the plan, because he's like, okay, we're going to weed out the mole. We're going to give the right information to the mole so that if there is somebody on the inside working against us, we're going to lure them out. And if they've noticed that they've been lured out at this point, we're going to lure them into the trees. And so it all makes sense. The strategy is making sense now. I'm kind of getting maybe what Erwin is thinking. I'm not sure, but I want Armin and Erwin to meet up, because Armin clearly has information he wants the commander to know, but only the commander. And so it's clearly about this female Titan. And so Jean being like, are they gonna have a welcoming ceremony for us at the tourist spot? And he's like, that's a joke, because it'd be like in a stereotypical show. It'd be like all the welcoming the new recruits would be at this like tourist spot, and they'd be like having party poppers and cake, and Jean's like, I'm joking. I know that's not happening. And the giant woman's following us, the giant broads on our tail. So and these guys aren't privy to the plan because they've not been with the other scouts, because they've been kind of distanced from everybody else. And so then they tie the horses up on the outskirts, which makes sense because the Titans don't attack horses or animals. They're just after humans. So as long as their horses are out of sight, if they stop the Titans, they can get on the horses and escape before anything else happens. And so this moment where he's like, shut up and follow orders to Jean is very interesting, because Jean has kind of established himself as this pseudo leader throughout this series, especially during Trost. And so Jean questioning, he's like, I know this dude is scared like the rest of us, and he's following orders like he's been told to. And Jean's like, but John's trying to figure out what's the whole overall goal. What's the overall plan? I want to know what's happening so I can help. Like, Jean wants to be a leader so bad. It's like every fiber of his being is telling him to do the opposite and be cowardly and run away. But there's a part of Jean that wants to be a leader that I absolutely love. And I'm like, yes, that's exactly right. You want to be leaderly in this role, of course. And I like that we get this shot of Connie and Mikasa trying to work things out as well, being like, we're luring these Titans here like what we did in Trost against the walls, and the trees are high enough where we're out of reach, like we're on a wall, because the wall's like, what, 100, 150 meters tall? So it's similar. And there's the girl with the freckles, so she's back there. And we're forging into a tourist trap. And now we're just standing here. Interesting. And then, the Aberrant and the others luring them in. So I am totally convinced that Erwin has suspected that this female Titan exists and that she's going to come in to try to sabotage things. And the whole idea is to get the cadets and the other scouts to keep the Titans, keep the mindless, dumb Titans on the outside of the forest where they won't go in yet, and let the female Titan come to us, and we'll corner her and do something. So that all makes sense. And there is a moment where Jean's talking about, he's like, people like him, that's the leaderly position, when they have to give orders that others don't want to follow, it's understandable that there would be a mutiny and people would stab him in the back and take over. And Armin's like, for a second, Armin seems like questioning, are you going to do that? And then Jean's like, no, of course not. But Jean knows what that's like. So Jean is thinking ahead. He's like, okay, if I were in that guy's position, I would probably have to do the exact same thing and deal with the consequences. So he's like, this guy's terrified that they're going to mutiny and kill him for giving such a drastic, terrifying order. And Jean's like, so if I were in that position and had to do that, what would I have to expect? So I like that this whole episode, Jean is like rationalizing and working through, what would I do in a leaderly position? And at the end of the day, he's like, well, I'd obey orders and just keep the Titans out of the forest. Don't you think that's the right move too? And Armin's like, well, yeah, but I'm also thinking about other things. And he's like, you look like you know something. And he's like, I've got hunches and things. But of course he can't talk about it because that's the show, no time. We'll talk about it later, I'm sure. But God, why bring the formation here? And then, Commander Erwin's got a plan. that Aaron, I like that while we have this moment on the outside where Armin and Jean are having this calm, rational, leaderly conversation, because of all the people of our cadets, of all of our cadets that graduated in Aaron's class, the two that I could see most likely becoming, I guess the three I could see most likely becoming leaders are Mikasa, Armin, and Jean. Because Mikasa is calm and cool-headed for the most part, unless Aaron gets hurt, and is talented. So I could see her. But Mikasa isn't a strategist. She's just calm and cool under pressure and effective. So I get her being a leader, but maybe the least of the three. And then you have Armin, who is a strategist, who can come up with really good strategies and plans. I could see him being a leader. And then Jean, I can definitely see being a leader because he is working through every possible scenario, good and bad, mostly bad, and just being like, okay, here's the worst case scenario. Now what do we do? I like that. I like the idea of a combination of Jean and Armin, because Armin's thinking of the ideal plan. Here's what we do that is an optimal, that will give us optimal results. And Jean's like, here's when things go awry and go bad, what can we do? So if you put Armin and Jean together, I really like them as a tag team, as a duo, because I think they would be a really good strategist together. They could think up the good and bad scenarios and how can we combat this. I really like that idea. And then we cut from that leaderly strategic moment to Aaron freaking out and being like, why do we bring Titans in here? And Levi's like, shut up! Quit whining! And he's like, how are we supposed to dodge the Titans and protect the carts? Like, Aaron's asking the important questions. And Levi's like, you're going on and on about the obvious problems. Of course we can't just protect the carts anymore. That's all been thrown out the window. And he's like, look around. These big-ass trees. These bats. Can't you see? They are perfect for maneuver gear. He's like, with this female Titan, the idea of just protecting the carts doesn't work anymore. It's not going to be good enough. We've got to get her out of the picture or we're going to die. Like, plans have changed. And I love the concept. It goes back to what Erwin was telling Pixis. He's like, in the Survey Corps, you deal with improv situations all the time. You have to think on the fly and make rash decisions at a moment's notice because something like this can happen and you're screwed if you don't. And I like at first that Aaron's like, oh, well, yeah, Levi is absolutely right. This Survey Corps, these guys, they're used to this all the time. I'm just new, so of course I don't understand what's going on. And then he slowly starts to look around and realizes that no, none of them are prepared for this. Oro has no clue what's going on. He's freaking out. Petra has no clue what's going on. She's freaking out. The others around them have no clue what's going on. They're freaking out. I can't remember if Misha's in the back. Yeah, I think he is. So he's still alive. The other guy was a different dude. So he's like, no one really knows what's going on except possibly Levi. Maybe not even Levi, but I think Levi does know what's going on. Him and Erwin. They have a plan. And yeah, and the female Titan coming in. I just kept being like, you know, Aaron, if you were going to turn into a Titan, now's the time. Now's the time to do it. But I don't think that's the plan. I think they're waiting. They're saving to get out of the forest of the trees before that happens. Now, the question is whether or not they're going to get to that point. But, oh, man. I just have a feeling that it's setting up for Levi and the female Titan to face off against each other. Of course it is. But, God, that animation with her coming in and Levi not even looking back. Like, just knowing, Jesus. I'm assuming Petra and the others are still alive. And they're clearly luring the female Titan to a specific point in the forest. We just don't know what. And God, Aaron's face when she like blows the tree past him, he's like, ah! That's such a good moment. And Aaron's just in freak out mode. And this female Titan can see him. And she is like, I found you. Like, that's the look on her face. Oh my God. And Levi's like, no, not yet. Don't switch to maneuver gear yet. It's not gonna work. We've got to get to her a certain point. Oh my God. Yeah, no. No. Oh, honey. This episode, the animation and the tension, Aaron freaking out. It's amazing. And then Petra's like, Captain, give us some orders. And Levi's like, not yet. And then Aaron getting cocky. Aaron, why do you get so cocky? He's like, you're chasing a group of Titan killers. Did you not just see her crush 2 of those Titan killers? But Levi's like, no, we're getting to a specific point. And it's like, she's gonna catch up with us if we don't do something. And clearly there was a specific place that Levi wanted them to get to first. Cover your ears. So I'm like, with the flare, what's gonna happen? Is the flare... I don't think it's the flare that's gonna make the noise that they need to cover their ears for. But is it something that's gonna happen next? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I would like to say this is the first episode where I didn't know what was going to happen next, but it's not. But it is the first episode where I really don't know what the possible move is. I'm like, is there going to have like, you think cover your ears like there's some sound equipment or something that would disassociate or confuse the Titan, but I'm not sure. Why would you cover your ears for a flare? I don't know. I'm so lost as to what it could possibly be. I'm so confused and curious. Don't spoil me. I'm going to be watching the next episode soon, but don't spoil me, but... Okay. It's fine. It's totally fine. This episode was really good. Not as batshit insane as the last episode, but really good in setting up these characters, their roles, that Erwin knows something's going on, that there's a strategic reason why they're in the forest. And here's the thing, too. The game plan's been abandoned. So if the female Titan was one of these cadets and was privy to the game plan prior, that's all been tossed out the window. It's gone. Like, at this point, no one knows what anyone's doing except for Erwin, and we're just following Erwin's orders and Levi's orders and hoping things work out. Like, the original game plan is gone. So it's all improv now. And so, oh my God. But I'm so excited, y'all. I'm so excited. I don't know what to expect. I don't know what's going to happen next, but I'm so intrigued. So, yeah, I need Armin to get to Erwin at some point to explain what he thinks and to see if Erwin is on the same page as Armin or if he understands what Armin's talking about. I just need those two characters to get together, and I feel like if it's going to happen, it's going to be the very end of this season. It's not going to happen anytime soon because we've still got 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. We still got 7 episodes left. So, in any case, I'm curious to know your thoughts down below, what you thought of this episode. This was great. This was great, but, oh man, I don't know what's going to happen next. But I'm excited. So, this cliffhanger was insane. I'm glad I'm only waiting a couple days in between episodes because I don't think I could do a week. There's no way. I've said this for like the last 12 episodes. There's no way I could do this week to week. 2 a week is good because it's like every couple days I'm getting a new episode and it's still fresh, but So in any case, I'm curious to know your thoughts down below. Please no spoilers. Please help me moderate spoilers if you see them down below. Just ask someone politely, of course. I don't want you to yell it and be like, get out the comment. Don't do that. But just be like, hey, please, can you like edit that comment or delete it if it's got spoilers in it? Because I don't want to delete people's comments in the comment section. I don't want to delete anybody's comments. I don't want to be that person because I think any dialogue in the comment section is important. I think that the conversations we have with each other in the comment section is awesome. And I don't want to delete comments. I don't want to be that person at all. So I would rather have, if you want to talk about spoilers, and some of you have already been doing this, which is thank you, but just have a big old all caps line that says, Romania, do not read past this point. And I won't. So just do that if you want to keep talking about spoilers. But beyond that, I'm so curious to know your thoughts down below. This episode was really good, but I can't wait to see what happens next. So, in any case, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and I'll talk to you all again soon with episode 19 of Attack on Titan. Bye.